What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to be showing you how to play Chopin's Nocturne Op. 9 No. 2 in standard tuning. So let's begin. So we're going to start the A section off with the harmonic. First finger on the A string 2nd fret. Then you're going to take your first finger and lay it over the 14th fret on the A string, exactly 12 frets above. And then you're going to pluck it with your pinky to create a harmonic sound. And then I'm going to play both E strings together, open E string and then the 4th fret on the high E string. And then we're just going to play an E major chord, so the E on the 2nd fret of the D string and the G sharp on the 1st fret of the G string, and then the open B. So, and then pluck the low E string again. Then we're going to go to this shape, which is 5 on the G string and then 7 on the D and B string. And then we're going to reach our pinky out, so make sure you use these fingers for the chord so you can reach your pinky to the 9th fret. So far. Now we're going to do the harmonic thing again with this open E string and 7th fret on the B. But instead of plucking the B string, we're going to do the harmonic. So we're going to go to the 19th fret. And we're going to use our thumb to pluck the E string at the same time as we harmonic with our pinky and first finger on the 7th fret. So we're going to hold this shape, which is so it's 6 on the D string and 4 on the G string. And then you're going to go to the 17th fret and do the harmonic while your finger's on the 5th fret. Now we're going to play a C sharp dominant 7 chord, full strum, and then so 6, 5, 6, and then the shape, which is 8 on the A string and 9 on the high E string. So. And then I'm going to play the 6 on the G string and 9 on the B string, so just lifting the pinky up to play the B string on the 9th fret from the E string on the 9th fret. So far. Now I'm going to slide my first finger to the 9th fret and then harmonic the 12th fret on the B string. Now I'm going to keep that ringing and then take my pinky and play the 12th fret on the D string and 10th fret on the G string. And then we're going to pluck 2 notes, the A string and the B string, 9th and 10th fret, the 11th fret on the D string and the 13th fret on the G string. So far everything would be Now we're going to go to a B7 chord. If you don't know the shape, it's B with your first finger on the 7th fret of the E string. Second finger is going to go on the 7th fret of the D string, pinky on the 8th fret of the G string, and your ring finger on the 7th fret of the B string. So you're going to pluck all 4, and then you don't even have to move, you can just play the middle strings. Okay, so then we're going to get to this shape. It's going to be middle finger on the C on the 8th fret of the E string, first finger on 6th fret of the D string, and then 8th fret on the G string with your ring finger, and then 9th fret on the B string with your pinky. And you're going to pluck the outside strings and then individually the inside strings. Then you're going to do the exact same slide harmonic technique as the first time, except this time you're sliding up to the 9th fret of the E string and harmonicking the 12th fret of the high E string. And then 11 on the A and D strings. 6th fret on the E and G string, and then 7 on the A string, and then harmonic with the pinky on the 12th fret of the G string, into the open B string, and then the B on the 7th fret of the E string, and then 9th fret and 11th fret of the G string and the E string. Move the pinky to the 9th fret, and then you're going to strum this chord. So that's going to be the first finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the B string, middle finger on the 7th fret of the B string, pinky on the 8th fret of the G string, and then the 7th fret of the E string with your remaining finger. You're going to want to mute the A string with your first finger, and then strum all the other strings. And then you're going to tap 10th fret on the B string, and then move your pinky to the 9th fret, and then 6, 8, open. 6, 8 on the G string, and then open the E strings. And then you're going to be hammering on that to keep everything ringing. And then 6, 4 again, and then 6 on the D string, 4 on the G string, and then open E. And that concludes the A section. So moving on to the B section, it's going to be pretty similar to the A section, but with a few added intricacies. So we're going to start off the same way we started the first one. And then, so it's going to be 2nd fret with a few added notes. So open E strings together, and then on the high one we're going to put our finger on the 2nd fret, hammer onto the 4th fret, and then 2nd fret on the G and the E strings, and then 1st fret with your first finger on the high E string, and then this tritone on the C on the 1st fret of the B string, and F sharp on the 2nd fret of the E string, and then pinky again, I think. Yeah, pinky again on the 4th fret, and then of the E string, and then slide while also plucking the low E string to the 7th fret. And then 5th fret on the B string, and 6th fret on the D string, and then 4th fret on the G string, and 6th fret on the A string. And then so 7, 5, 4, 5, 7 on the B string, and then 4th fret, just, you're going to bar it, but just the A and the high E string. So and just on this 5th fret, now it's going to be you're also going to play the 4th fret of the B string. And now we're going to do so 5, 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 10, 9, 10, 9, 9. Same thing as before. And then this time we're going to play this B7 chord again, and just kind of hammer on our pinky to get that trill effect. Same thing. And we're going to, you can harmonic that high string. So that's the B section. Very similar to the first part, but just a few added things. Now for the C section, we're going to start with 6 on the D string and 4 on the B string together, and then 4 on the G string and 5 on the B string together. Hit the B7 chord again, strum this middle strings, so. And now we're gonna play 7 on the E string, 9 on the B string, together. Then together again, 9 on the A string and 8 on the G string. And then bar 7 on the B string. And then 6 on the E string, 7 on the B string. And then pluck 4 on the D string and 6 on the G string. So far. And then now 1 on the A string and 2 on the B string. And then use your pinky to reach 4 on the D string, and then ring finger on 3 on the G string. Now we're gonna slide while plucking the A string, and then slide on the B string to 5. So we're gonna slide and then add our middle finger on the 6th fret of the G string, and then ring finger on the 7th fret of the D string, and then play all 4 strings together, and then 4, 5, 7, 5, and then play 5 again with the low E string. Then you can add a harmonic there on the high E string 12th fret. And then we're gonna, so the whole section is gonna look like this. Okay, now we're gonna play this chord. So we're going to be barring our first finger on the 7th fret, G, B, and E strings, and then pinky is going to go on the 9th fret of the B string. And now we're just going to add our middle finger to the 8th fret of the A string, and our ring finger to the 9th fret of the D string. And then we're going to pluck the D and the G strings twice. Now moving chords again. So now we're gonna bar our first finger on the 6th fret, G, B, and E strings, and then our ring finger and our pinky are gonna go on the 8th and 9th fret of the A and D strings. Now we're gonna bring our pinky down and play the 9th fret of the B string, and then go all the way over here. So we're gonna be barring our first finger across the whole 2nd fret, and then a middle finger on the 3rd fret of the G string. And then our pinky's gonna come on the 4th fret of the D string, and then we're gonna play the B string because it's still being barred by the first finger. Now we're just gonna play a G sharp or A flat minor chord, barring the entire 4th fret, and then 6th fret on the A and D string. So we have now C sharp minor chord. Now we're going to play first finger, 2nd fret of the E string, and then 4th fret with our pinky and ring finger on the D and B strings. And then this shape on the 2nd and 3rd fret, we have E, 2nd fret of the D string, C sharp, 2nd fret of the B string, and then A sharp or B flat, 2nd fret, 3rd fret of the G string. So back to this shape again, and then so a few chords there. So the first one's gonna be 3 notes, the 2nd fret of the A string, 1st fret of the D string, and open B. Second chord is gonna be 1st fret of the A string, 2nd fret of the D string, and 1st fret of the B string. Now we're going to make an F chord shape with the A in the bass. Now we're going to do this one, which is 3rd fret of the D string, 4th fret of the G string, and 2nd fret of the B string. So far we have now the same shape that we made on the B7 is going to turn into F sharp 7. Same shape, just starting on the 2nd fret instead of the 7th fret. And then back to this shape again, the 2nd fret and the 4th fret. So far. End with a low E. So now we're going to play singular notes, 2nd on the E, or E note, 2nd fret of the D string, 1st fret of the G, open B, open E, 4th fret with your pinky on the E string. So, and then put the fingers back down and play every string that you just plucked except for the high string. And now 3rd fret and 4th fret on the G. And then open in E with the 1st fret on the B string. And then pull off. And then 3rd and 4th on the B string. And then you're going to make this chord. 2nd fret of the A string. Sorry, 2nd fret of the G string, which is an A, and then a 4th fret on the B and E. So all that again. And then you're gonna put bar the 2nd fret on the high E string. And then you're gonna slide to that 7th fret like we did before. Same thing now. Everything we've already learned. And that's going to be it. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you learned something from this tutorial. And please comment if you have any questions and let me know what other tutorials you would like to see.